Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Easy Cooking with Gabby. So today I'm going to make chicken and dumplings, and I'm going to be making some buttermilk dumplings, which I've never done before, but I found a recipe that calls for buttermilk instead of just milk. So I'm going to try that and see how it works out. So what I do is sometimes I'll make my own chicken and do it that way. I'll boil the chicken and everything. But if you go to Walmart and in the meat department, they always have the rotisserie chickens. And so every day they have to, if they don't sell them by the end of the day, they mark them down and then they put them over by the meat section. So this chicken is good until, or it should be best if used by the 9th. Today is the 7th and it was made yesterday. So I got 3 of them, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip all the meat off them. And they're not huge chickens by any means, but they're good sized ones. And for $3, you cannot beat that. So, I mean, even if you were going to make like anything with chicken, chicken wing dip, you could even make chicken enchiladas, anything you're going to do with chicken. That is not, I mean, that's the cheapest way to go. And it's already cooked for you. All you have to do is strip it. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to save all of the fat, or the skin. It's not fat, but the skin and all the bones. And I'm going to toss them into my stock pot here on the stove with some, I have these colorful carrots. I'm going to put probably 3 carrots in there and about 3 to 4 celery stalks. I'm going to put some celery seed. I'm going to use some peppercorns, and I'm going to use probably about a quarter of this onion, because this is a huge onion. So a quarter of this onion, and then I'm going to throw just the skin, the bones, whatever bits that I'm not going to use off the chicken into the pot, and I'm going to let it cook for like an hour and a half. With probably about 8 cups of water, maybe 10, but I'm probably going for 8. And I like a lot of meat in my chicken, so I got 3 of them. I don't know if I'll use all the meat off all 3 of them. Let's see, I have this bowl here that I'm going to put the chicken in. We'll see how much is in there when I'm done. I want about 6-8 cups of chicken in it. And then once I get that done, I'll come back and we will get the actual chicken soup going for the dumpling part. Okay, so I broke down the chicken, and that's I put the legs, the wings. The only thing I really used for my meat, which is in this bowl, is the breasts and the thighs. Everything else, right into this thing with all the bones and everything, right into it. And then I'm going to add this onion, the celery seed. And then after I'm done boiling it, and I'm also going to put in, which I think I forgot to mention at the beginning, I'm going to put in, okay. So what I was saying was I stripped all the meat off of the carcasses, and then all of it, every bit of anything that was left over in the bag. There's like some gelatinous juice. Hey, Lulu. Hang on, Nona's making a video. Are you stuck? You're always stuck, aren't you? So, so I have all of that in here. I'm going to add about a quarter of the onion. I'm not even going to chop it small. I'm going to just put it in 4 pieces into the pot. The peppercorns I'm using I was going to use the black peppercorns, but I can't get the lid off of that. That's a grinder. So I do have white peppercorns in there. So I'm going to put I'd say about a tablespoon into the pot, and the reason why I'm doing whole is because it's not going to matter, because I'm going to strain it at the end into a strainer, and I'm only keeping the juice from the pot. And then once I put it all back in the pot, then that's when I add my meat, my diced onions, and all that into the pot. So let me get that going, and I'm going to let this cook on the stove for probably about an hour and a half. And then I'll taste it and see what we need, if we need to add tweak anything or anything like that. And then I'll be back and we will, I'm going to add a little bit of celery celery seed into this too. And then I'm going to add 3 of these carrots. That's all you really need, is probably 3. And these I'm not going to cut in any kind of a way. I'm just going to probably just cut them right in half. Okay, I got 4 of them. I'm just going to cut them in half. Because really we just want the flavor out of all of this. And then I have celery hearts here. Now, if you have the celery stalk, which I don't have that, I just have celery seed. If you have the leaves would be, that's my grandbabies you're hearing in the background. And this does have a few leaves in here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the center part. And I'm just going to literally chop this into 3 pieces. And this is all going right in. And this is all pre-washed stuff, so right into the pot. And then, like I said, I'm going to put about 8 cups of water in here. And I'm going to let it go for about an hour and a half. On probably medium heat. You don't want to have it on a too forceful of a boil. You don't need it boiling around high or anything. Just probably a medium boil for about an hour and a half. And then once I get back, I'll show you how to cut up the veggies that we're going to put in here, and I'll show you what else we're putting inside of this. And also another thing that I'm adding to my stock is going to be some garlic, and I'm not even husking it or anything. I literally have about 8 pieces of garlic here. I just chopped it in half. That's going right into the pot just like that. I also added a teaspoon of crushed red peppers and probably about the same of parsley. And I added about a teaspoon of dried parsley. And that's just going to sit there and cook for, like I said, probably about an hour and a half. And I do have it on a medium heat. And this is my stock pot burner here. So it has, it burns good. Thank you, Lulu. Anyways, and so as soon as I get done with all of that, we'll come back and see how the stock looks. While my stock is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my celery, my onion. I'm going to use 3 fresh cloves of garlic, and I'm going to slice them into just slices. And then I'm going to dice up, I don't know, probably most of this bag of carrots. And I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stalks of celery. And then I'm going to add in probably 2 to 3 spoons and this is all by your flavor. Okay, some people like bold flavors. Like I like a lot of garlic in my food. Some people don't like garlic at all. And if you're one of those people, I always say, it's your kitchen. You cook how you like this stuff. I'm just giving you a roundabout recipe idea. You take that recipe and you do it how you want to do it. You want to use turkey instead of chicken? By all means, go for it. That is the most wonderful thing about cooking, is that I can add and take away the things that I don't like. I don't like the taste of oregano. There's so many recipes that call for oregano. I never use oregano. Bay leaf. We'll never use bay leaf because I don't personally like the flavor of those. So I don't use them. And when I do the chicken and dumplings, I do a pretty basic chicken and dumpling. I don't add too many crazy things to it. I mean, you could add potatoes, and I mean, you could literally add whatever you wanted to it. But I really stick with carrot, celery, onion, and garlic. And the flavor is phenomenal. And then I also add, which is kind of my little secret. So what I do is after I cook it and I get the base how I want it, I get my chicken, like this chicken, I will shred up. And like these big chunks I might cut in half. But my pieces of chicken that are going to be in my soup are going to be big pieces of chicken. They're not going to be real, I'm not chopping it real tiny. And then I do add the bouillon, which adds great flavor. And I absolutely love this better than bouillon. I think it's one of the best bouillons out there. If you don't have this bouillon, it's okay. Use whatever bouillon you have. If you have tomato-based bouillon, vegetable-based bouillon, beef-based bouillon, whatever. I don't know if beef-based would work, but it's a bouillon. It will give you it's all about that umami, that salty flavor that hits all your taste buds. I'm sorry, the Italian's coming out. I'm using my hands again. But, and that's what I like to use. So then when I'm done, when it's fully cooked, I'll add cream of chicken soup to it. And I'll add a half a cup of milk to the can, rinse it out, and I'll throw that in there. And then I want a thick base. So if that doesn't make it how thick I want it because I don't really have a lot of water in there. Like I said, I have about 6 to 8 cups of water in there. So what I will do is I will add that to it. And if it's not thick enough, then I will take, that's my grandbaby there, that's Lulu. He's playing with his mama. So what I will do is I will add some flour or cornstarch, whichever you prefer, to a liquid, whether it be milk, water, whatever, even the juice from the stock. And then I'll add that and I'll get it as thick as I want. So what I will do is I will add all my vegetables. I'll dice them up and I add them right directly to after I drain my stock, after my stock is cooked. I will drain it. I will add my vegetables that are going to stay in the soup. I'll add my meat. I'll add my bouillon. And then I will add my cream of chicken. Now, I won't add any salt, physical salt, because this is going to be salty enough. And then I will add ground pepper because you want to see the pepper flakes. I like to see the pepper flakes in my soup, even though I added and I added, like I said, about a teaspoon of the white pepper, the peppercorns. So I will grind about a teaspoon or so, maybe more, of the black pepper into the soup when it's done. And then, like I said, I'm going to add the condensed soup base, add milk to that, get that in there at the very end, let it cook for a little bit. And if it's not the thickness that I want, then that's when I'll add a little bit of the flour. And you could add butter to it. I may add a tablespoon or two of butter to it, maybe 3, who knows. But that is going to be the base of everything. Okay, guys, so this has only been cooking for 30 minutes now. And the water was clear when I put it in here. And I want you to see how beautiful this broth is already in 30 minutes. How beautiful of a color it already has. So look at that. You see how beautiful that color is? And I have not put any bouillon in here or anything. This is literally celery, carrots, onion, garlic, and all that chicken that I put in here. There's some of that celery there. I mean, you can see the veggies haven't even softened yet. I mean, they're still that hard. So, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's been 30 minutes. Probably been 20 minutes that it's been in here. And look at how beautiful that juice looks already. All right, we'll come back and check it out later. Okay, guys. So this has been cooking away here for about an hour and 15 minutes. And you can see like the celery now. Let me find a piece of celery. That's a carrot. Well, you can see the celery has basically, I mean, you saw the last time that I stirred it, you seen how it would still look like celery. And now I can't even find the celery. So my carrots are still pretty whole, but you can see the color of the broth is beautiful. So I'm going to turn it off right now and I'm going to put it in a strainer. Now, if you have cheesecloth, you could strain it into a cheesecloth. If you have what I call a sieve or something like this, you can use this. If you have a colander or strainer with a cheesecloth, I don't know if I already said that. I may have already said that. I don't know. But anyways, if you have that, you can also use that. But the point is that you want to take your pot, you want to strain it because you want all of the big bits of that out. Once you have that out, you add your juice, your broth, back to your kettle. Then you take, here I have the celery, the onion, and the carrots that I'm going to use. And I'm using those colorful carrots. That's why they're all different colors. And then I have about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic here. And as I told you before, our family loves garlic. So for us, the more the better. And then I'm going to add that to it. Then I'm going to get my chicken shredded, get that in the pot, get it all cooking together. And then while that's cooking and getting all married together, I'm going to make my buttermilk biscuits. And I'm going to do that on camera so you can see what I do. And most important, because I have seen people do this and you do not want to do it, is you want to make sure that when you are straining, you're straining into something that is actually going to catch it, because you will dump the juice down the drain or wherever you're straining it into, and you don't want it have it all over or on the... Okay, so this is the bowl I'm going to use to catch the juice. I'm going to use this strainer first. And if you have something that will sit perfectly in it, that's the best. But if not, then you're just going to want to be super careful. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over here and I'm going to get the big stuff out first. And in this bowl, get all the big stuff out. And then what I'll do is I'm going to transfer the juice back to the pot. And then I'm going to take my sieve and I'm going to re-drain it again to catch all the little bits of stuff. That way you don't end up with little pieces of bone or little pieces of whatever in there that you don't want. Some people don't like that. You know, I don't like bones in my stuff either, but it doesn't bother me to get a bone. But I have kids, and one of them, if she gets a bone, she will not even eat any more of it. That's the end of it for her. So if you have people like that, you want to make sure you get it all out. Okay, so I have pulled all of the, I have pulled all of the big pieces out of my stock. I haven't put it through the sieve yet, but I just wanted to show you, like, this is what the garlic looks like. It's very soft. The celery, this is one piece of celery I found. Most of it has been cooked into literally nothing. Now I let this sit here for a little bit so all of that goodness can drain out of all of that. And then what's left in the bottom of this, I'll add back to this pot. Then I'm going to take my sieve and I will pour it in that. And then once I have my stock, I'll add it back to the pot and then I'll add everything else to it. And I'll show you what that looks like when I get to that. Okay, so after I strained the most part of the meat, then I put it in this little, through this little sieve. And then this is all the stuff that came out of the rest of it. And then you're left with this gorgeous broth. I mean, that is beautiful and it tastes so good. So now I'm going to return the stock to the pot and then I'm going to add the onion, celery, and carrots that I've cut up. And I just want y'all to see the color and how beautiful that stock is. And then I'm going to add the celery, carrots, onions, and garlic. And that's my little Lulu running around like a little crazy person. Now, if at any point during this process you feel like you need to add more liquid to your stock, you could do that. I try to get the stock to the flavor that I want it to be when I make the dumplings. That way it's all that flavor when it's cooking. So now I'm going to shred my chicken. And like I said, I like big chunks of chicken in mine. And I just pretty much use the breast, the thighs, and I'm going to actually put it all in this pan. That way I get it all. So I'm just going to add these big pieces. I like, when I eat chicken and dumplings, I like big pieces of chicken in my stuff. And then while I'm doing this, I'm also checking just in case there could be a little piece of cartilage. Now, like I said, I don't mind the cartilage. I don't mind any of that kind of stuff, but my two daughters are very, they get really icked out easily by it. Some people can, I'm more icked out if I find a hair in it. Not really a dog hair. It's more like if I find human hair. And I don't know why I'm more grossed out by human hair than dog hair, but I am. So, but that's what I do. And then I'm just checking the meat to make sure that it's all, there's no like veins. You know how sometimes you can get veins in your chicken and stuff. And this chicken all looks pretty good. Now see, here's a little piece that I'm not quite sure what that is. So I'm going to cut that piece off just in case it is a little cartilage. Then it's not going to affect the soup. It's not going to affect the soup anyways. It's not going to affect the people eating the soup. But, and then I'm just going to get all this shredded up and then I'll put it in the soup and we'll get that cooking and then I'll be back and I'll show you the dumpling recipe, okay? Okay, so this is all of my chicken after that, and I went through it all, and this is why I like to go through it the second time, is because even though I'm deboning it at the time, Here's a piece of bone that I missed. This is a part of a wishbone that was in the breast. But this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the little cartilagey ends. That's a little piece of cartilage there. Here's another little piece of cartilage here on this right here. Here's like a chunk of, not sure what that is, another little piece of cartilage. So out of all of that chicken, that's what I had that I will discard. And then now I will add the chicken to the broth with the veggies. And just one more thing I wanted to add. So I'm cooking for probably about 5 people. So if you are making, you can make this stretch even further for a larger family. If you're going to add more liquid to your stock when you're making your stock, make sure you adjust your bouillon and your seasonings for that, because the seasonings that I put in mine, I had to adjust because I added 4 more cups of water because I need more juice in my stock. So I added a little more bouillon of the Better Than Bouillon, liquid bouillon. And then I also added a tablespoon of my powdered bouillon too. So all in all, I added probably 6 tablespoons of bouillon to the broth. So now I've got my meat and my veggies in there, and I'm going to get that cooking. And then while that's cooking, I'm going to make my dumpling batch. And I'm going to go ahead and just use this bowl that I made that I shredded up that chicken in. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now we're going to make our dumplings. And we're going to use, this is a 1/2 cup measure. So we're going to use 4 of these, which makes 2 cups of flour. 2, 3, 4. And then we're also going to use, let's see, teaspoons. We need 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure it's powder, not soda. There's a huge difference between the two. So baking powder, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Is this the box?
Okay, and then, no, this is the box, the one I have right here. You throwing it away? Good job, buddy. Good job. Yeah. Now don't be in there. It's hot because I threw the chicken scraps in there from Nona's soup. Ew, huh? It's gross. Well, what did you want me to do with it? Silly. Does it smell good? Smell good? Yeah, wait until you get to eat it. It's almost ready. Then you need about a teaspoon of salt. And this is the first time I've ever done a recipe with egg before. Especially dumplings. I've never done a dumpling with egg. And I don't know if that's just... I just never have heard that before. So, and the recipe that I'm using calls for 2 eggs. So we'll go ahead and crack them. Try not to get any shale. 2 eggs. And then we're going to put in a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Now, buttermilk, you can buy it at the store, which is what I did today. But if you are in a pinch and need buttermilk, literally you take a cup of milk and add a teaspoon of vinegar to it. And that's a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. And then also we're going to use a 1/4 of a cup of butter, melted. And so it's almost melted all the way. So we're going to go ahead. There's just 1 little chunk there, but it'll be all right. 2 little chunks there, I guess. It'll be fine. If you need to put more time on it, put more time on it, but I'm just going to roll with it. Lewis found himself a cucumber, and it still has the plastic on it, but he's trying real hard to get through the cucumber. You want Nona to take the plastic off? Here, baby. This boy loves his fruits and veggies. Let me get the plastic off, sweetheart. There you go, baby. Now it's good, huh? Yeah. No, it's not an onion. It's a cucumber. Cucumber. Good job. All right. So now we're going to mix. Now the dough is going to be a very wet dough. And it should be like, what do I want to say? It's not going to be like biscuity. It should be a very wet dough. You're going to want to get it mixed, and then you're going to want to scoop it. So let me get it mixed, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. And this is what I mean when I say very wet. You see how very wet and sticky that is? That's what you want. You want a very wet, sticky dough. And then what I'm going to do is, once my broth comes up to a boil, I'm going to add my dumplings. And when that happens, I will come back and show you that. Also, you need to add your condensed soup. If you're using that for the thickener, you're going to add that before you do your dumpling part. And that's usually what I do is a can of chicken soup. It's the cream of chicken. And then I put a half a cup of milk in the can, kind of clean that out, and add that into. Makes it a creamier soup base. And this is where we are after we have added our soup base to the soup. And we are now just going to bring it up to our boil. Now, if you want a thicker soup than that, what you got to remember, you're going to add the dumplings too, so you need them to be moving around in here. You don't want it so thick that your dumplings, can't really do their cooking. So, but if you wanted it thicker after you added your dumplings, you could add a little bit of flour and water together and thicken it up that way. But I'm telling you, this is going to be beautiful just the way it is. So once it comes up to a boil, which is starting to, we're going to get the dumplings dropped in by our scooper. And you're going to drop one dumpling in, give it a second, get another one in, because you don't want them to clump up on you. And then you're going to put a lid on this, and you're going to let it go for like 20 minutes. And you're going to turn it down to like a medium-low, or low-medium, something in between. And then you're going to let it go for like 20 minutes covered. Okay, so this is what I'm using. And then you're going to take a scoop of your dough, just like that, and you're going to plop it in. And you're just going to keep doing that until you get through your whole thing. Then you put a lid on it and let it go for 20 minutes. And then when I come back, I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so this is really, I'm so surprised, honestly. I'm not even joking. So I have never made dumplings with egg before. And I'm not sure if you can see, but that is so fluffy. They are almost like a biscuit. It's crazy.
They're the texture of a dumpling.
And they're the texture of a dumpling. That's what I'm repeating, like I have a little parrot in the room. That's what my daughter's saying in the background. But they really, and I had a scooper, just like a ice cream, a cookie scooper, but it was small, probably about a teaspoon or so. So let me show you what the dumplings look like though. So this is what it looks like in the pot. And that's how big so I use like just a teaspoon scooper from, the Walmart. That's where I picked it up at. And that's how big they puffed up to be. And I think I got about 20 at least. And there's a couple little tiny pieces in here like that. That was at the end of the batch. But that one there broke in half a little bit. But yeah, I guess I'm really impressed. And that's how the soup looks. It's beautiful and it tastes really good. My daughter's already scooping out the boys' for their dinner so it can cool because it's very hot. And I'm going to get a bowl and I'll show you how it looks in a bowl. Okay, so this is the soup, what it looks like, with my dumpling on top. And there's all that big shredded pieces of chicken, my carrots, and I use just colorful carrots from Sam's Club. And then celery, you can see the celery, the onions, all the bits of everything. I put about 1/4 of a cup of butter in my soup while it was cooking. Now with this, you could add Parmesan cheese to the top of it, a little bit of green onion, even some crispy bits. Like if you wanted to fry up some onion and put a little, you could dial it up any way you want to. But I'm going to taste it right now. The chicken flavor. You cannot go wrong with making your own chicken stock, I'm telling you. Now, if you have to, if you're afraid to make your own stock, by all means, buy box stock. It's okay. Like I said, anything that you make, you can customize however your cooking style is. For me, this is how I like to cook. This is how I cook every single day for my family. And I absolutely love making the most that I can do homemade. I really do enjoy doing it. And then I enjoy people eating it and hearing their feedback. Oops, he turned on the... Lewis, that's not a toy, baby. That's not a toy. That's Papa's. Leave it alone. Turn down the dehydrator. So anyways, if you get a chance to make it, let me know what you think. And like always, if you can, share the video, like the video, leave comments. Every little bit helps get it into the rotation and, gets the video out there. Again, I love you all, and I'm so happy to be able to cook for everyone. And I hope that you do get to try it. And whatever you change, if you change anything in it and it's better or whatever, just let me know. I would love to hear from you, and I will try to comment and return comments and everything like that any chance I get. All right, y'all. Have a great dinner, and I will see you again with the next episode of Easy Cooking with Gabby. Who knows what we're going to make? I don't. All right, bye.